Hello and welcome everybody to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests, our lovely patrons, and our amazing YouTube audience to discuss the day's gaming news. This is episode 126, and I'm joined as always by my good friend and GVG co-founder Steve Bowling and our very special returning guest, beloved VTuber and content creator Madz. Madz, we're so glad to have you back, man. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. I'm feeling great. I'm glad to be back. It's been way too long since we've had a chat together.
Yeah, I was noticing it's been 6 months. How has it been 6 months?
I didn't know it was
already?
6 months ago.
Me neither.
That doesn't feel real. I don't know how I feel about that. But
I don't know how
regardless,
it's going so fast.
Yeah, this year is going crazy fast.
I should have trotted out the thing I did when Lady Pelvic came back her first time around, like just showing what TNT looked like. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah,
right. Oh, it's true. Yeah, I didn't either one until I was like, making the thumb and stuff, and like, I used the links in our description from your previous episode, Madz, to put them in the description today for people can find you. And I'm like, 6 months ago. What in the world?
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Grantles in our live audience patron chat says, nice shirt. Thank you very much. This is one of my favorite shirts. This is one of those shirts that you see. There's certain shirts when you see them, you're like, oh, there's no thought process here. I got to buy that shirt. And this is one of those shirts. I saw it at Anime Expo years ago. And fortunately, it stayed in pretty good condition. And I'm like, a Titus laughing shirt. Obviously, I have to own that. And so yes, I do. And fortunately, it's still in good condition and has stood the test of time. So, thank you for that. Before we get too far into the episode, though, we do have a sponsor for today. And our sponsor is Joseph Bayer, who is not only sponsoring us out of the kindness of his heart. Normally, he doesn't even have anything he wants to promote. He just wanted to support us because he wants to support us. And we love you for that so much. But Joseph has gone a step further. And not only is he supporting us out of the kindness of his heart, he now wants to use his sponsorship to make sure that everyone knows about the Games and Online Harassment Hotline, which is a free text message-based confidential emotional support hotline. They're open 3 to 7 p.m. Pacific every day, unfortunately only in the USA right now, but that's hopefully going to change. So you can just text support to 23368 to get started. And those of you who watch TNT often will know that we recently had Jay Lin as our special guest from the Games and Online Harassment Hotline. And that's how Joseph and we all found out about it. It's a great service. They're there for you if you need any sort of emotional or mental health support, especially related in the gaming sphere. But they really do just take everybody who needs help. So it's a great service. If you need to reach out and talk to someone, certainly give it a shot. And Joseph, thank you so much for not only supporting the channel out of the kindness of your heart, but using your sponsorship to get the word out about something that is so important and so wonderful.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. So Joseph, seriously, thank you so much. You're just the kindest person. And of course, before we get into the news, and there's quite a bit of it today, we do have a few super chats to read out. So I'm going to get started with those. First off is $4.99 from Synchrolord saying, happy belated birthday to Steve.
Thank you.
Did you all see the new Spider-Man teaser and thoughts about it? So yes. This was actually also during our Gamescom Opening Night Live 2021 stream, our reaction stream earlier today. And my thoughts on that there are the same as what I will say they are now, and that is, hello, Peter. That goosebumps, man. When you see Doc Ock and you see him say that, oh, I'm so hyped. Madz, you weren't on our reaction stream this morning. How are you feeling about Spider-Man No Way Home, that teaser trailer?
I'm so excited. Like, I grew up with the Sam Raimi trilogy, and like, I don't know. I'm just really just seeing the skeleton bomb from the first movie. That was hilarious. If it make I don't know. Honestly, what I heard someone saying that this could, Sam Raimi's apparently shown interest in working on Spider-Man again, and I'm like, oh my god, if they actually manage to link this into making a Spider-Man 4 with I don't know, I heard someone saying that, which was a crazy theory, but I was like, oh my god, that would be.
Well, as we know, they were making it, and then they couldn't find a script they could really agree on, so they ultimately canceled it. But who knows? Maybe there will be another Raimi Spider-Man movie. That would be pretty
amazing. Yeah.
They got really far with Spider-Man 4. There was also a game adaptation that was mostly done of Spider-Man 4 that revealed some of the plot points of the script that they were working with. And I remember, I want to say Game History Secrets did a huge dive into prototypes of that game. I'd love to see Raimi come back, but I don't want it as part of the MCU. Like, I would just love it as like a B-tier popcorn flick.
Because that's the thing. I think with what they're doing with like the multiverse system, I think that could link into things where it's like, oh, it can be outside of a MCU, I guess. Because I mean, at least that's what we're seeing with the characters at least come into it. I'm like, well, if they get characters from the Amazing Spider-Man series and then also from the Raimi trilogy, like, I think that doesn't, it sort of makes it so it's fair game for anything.
Right.
It's almost like turning the MCU into more like a Smash Bros situation where, it's more of like, I don't know, it's like this version of the characters or something. I don't know.
Right. I am so excited to see Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin again. He was so fun to watch in Spider-Man 1, and I know he had a bit part in 2, I believe, or was it 3? They had a bit part in, but he's just such a great take on that character. Although if they ever did do a Spider-Man 4 after all this time, I feel like they would have to use a different villain than Vulture, only because for me, Michael Keaton has just completely... You can't beat Michael Keaton's Vulture. You just can't do it. It's not possible. And so I feel like they'd have to... Oh, Shocker, right.
Shocker would be cool. I heard that Michael Keaton is playing Batman again in something. I read that somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly where, but I heard that.
One thing, though, that I'm hoping for, and I don't think he'll make an appearance in this new Spider-Man movie because he hasn't yet anywhere, but I hope that this multiverse concept in this Spider-Man movie spawns a Spider-Man 2099 movie. I want a cyberpunk Spider-Man so bad. It would be so amazing.
That would be amazing.
Also, a few folks in our live audience patron chat are pointing out that it's the new Flash movie that Michael Keaton will be appearing as Batman in, reappearing as Batman.
Interesting.
Nice.
So, yeah. Well, moving on, we have $5 from Jaden Buck saying, just wanted to let you guys know that I have class on Monday and Wednesday, but I'll always be here Friday for Crazy Question Friday. Well, we always look forward to that, Jaden. Thank you so much. Class is just a little bit more important than today's news tonight, though. So we totally understand.
just a little bit.
Just a bit. So we totally understand. Good luck in class, and we'll see you Friday. We're looking forward to whatever question you have cooked up for us. Next is $5 from Mr. One Up saying, I was working, but I'm happy I was right about Morgana in Super Monkey Ball. I hope everyone in GVG and in the chat are having a great day. Good vibes. Well, you just made our day that much better with that statement, Mr. One Up. Thank you so much for your donation. And hell yeah, well done getting that right about Morgana.
Yeah.
Steve was so close.
I was on the right track.
Second, yeah, you were on the right track. I was like, I really thought you had it.
I was really hoping, I was really hoping, and I still kind of am, because Sega have really been leaving Samba de Amigo to the side for so long. That's like one of my, I know it's not an amazing game, but the characters in that, just that's really, that game series is really special to me. And I was like, oh, if we see Amigo, I know it's not likely, but I was really hoping for him. But still, Morgana was such a cool surprise for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Neozon, I don't think I realized this. Neozon in our YouTube chat mentioned Marvel Studios already got Sam Raimi for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, so the relationship with Feige is there. I totally forgot Raimi was involved with Doctor Strange too, so there you go.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right, we have one more super chat for now from A Drink to the Past. I love that name still. For $2, saying, how about that Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew? Is that a thing?
It is.
Tell me that's not a thing.
Why? That doesn't sound real.
I literally hold on. I texted my wife the minute I saw this, and I was like, "You need to buy me this." I was like,
"That sounds like something they're making just to get the name out there." It's like, "Oh, this will be good publicity. Let's make a terrible product."
Yeah, it looks awful, objectively terrible. But I want to drink it on stream. I absolutely want to drink it here for you guys because I don't know why I do these things for you guys, but I will.
Maybe that's something we do for our next GVG After Dark stream at PAX next week, where we'll do challenges related to Mountain Dew.
Well, the problem is it's online only, and you have to. It'll only be available on August 31st, so I don't think it'll make it in time.
Oh, right, okay. And there's still that Sonic Curry and the Chili Dog G Fuel that's coming in from Katie at Sega at some point, right, Steve?
Yeah, I need to check in with her about that. Obviously for physical reasons, I have been lax in following up. But
I feel like you guys might want to keep that a bit chillax. I wouldn't push it too much.
Well, we already
badly.
did. I don't know if you heard about our recent GVG After Dark stream where Steve was here with his friend Nick in LA, and we were all hanging out together, and we ordered the spiciest chicken you can get in LA. or among the spiciest
I think I checked in a little bit, but how did that end? I didn't know how that ended.
Badly.
Badly.
Okay.
Especially
I think we don't
for
need to
me.
elaborate.
Yeah.
We don't need to elaborate.
I spent the entire next day in the bathroom badly. Is how that ended.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And we really tied one on the night before. I think Steve actually had a harder time the night before because we drank and we partied quite a bit that first night that Steve got in.
Yeah.
And I think he was affected worse by that, and I was affected worse by the spicy chicken.
Well, at least you guys were kind of evened out.
Exactly. It all evened out in the end, and
we're in this together.
Exactly. Well, with all that said, shall we go ahead and get on to the news, gentlemen?
Indeed.
Yep. I'm ready.
All right. Well, it is now time for the world premiere of our discussion with Madz about all the announcements in this morning's Gamescom Opening Live 2021 presentation. So let's get that up on screen. All right, so as I just mentioned, Gamescom Opening Night Live 2021 did happen this morning with Jeff Keighley, and we did a reaction stream to it. And of course, there's too much announced for us to go over everything, but I'm just going to run over the biggest points, I think, for us here, and then we'll kind of pick and choose what we want to talk about. So the Saints Row reboot is launching on February 25th, 2022. We got a small gameplay clip of that. Halo Infinite is launching on December 8th. April O'Neil herself, the 80s version, has been confirmed to be playable in Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, but that unfortunately has been delayed to 2022, so some good and some bad there. Persona 5's Morgana was revealed to be the latest playable character in Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is launching in spring of next year. Horizon Forbidden West got a release date, and that is February 18th, 2022, so February is getting really stacked, y'all. Horizon Zero Dawn also got a 60 FPS patch on PS5 that dropped today. It was shadow dropped, so if you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn and you have a PS5, this is the perfect time to do it because that game's amazing. And finally, not a big deal, but I love Fall Guys, so I'm including it. Fall Guys is getting a Jungle Book collaboration with a King Louie in-game event. There's going to be like a Mowgli costume and a Shere Khan costume. I think Baloo. I don't know why Jungle Book. It's weird. But anyway, Madz, were you watching all this live, or did you just kind of pay attention?
I tuned into your guys' stream for a little bit.
Awesome.
I really liked that one game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like that MMO. That
the Chinese one.
Yeah, that had such a cool aesthetic. When I was like, this kind of reminds me. Yeah, it's like pseudo Splatoon, sort of. I don't know. Apparently, it's a monster catcher, is what I heard. Like a monster collecting game.
That's what it kind of looked like. It looked a bit like Monster Hunter, looked a bit like Pokemon with its own just wild aesthetic that I really liked.
And it has the same momentum system, I think, as Monster Hunter Rise with the grappling hook, like the bug. Or at least I saw something like that. I was like, ooh, well, I loved the system of that. So definitely going to keep my eye on it. But yeah, like Lego Star Wars as well. Like, that looked incredible.
Compared to like it was looking great.
Yeah, right? That didn't look like a Lego game at all. I was like, where's the going into a room, doing like one brick puzzle, and then like, defeating like a few enemies? I don't know. It just seems like really, like they upped the game with that because they know like how special like that series is to people, and it's really cool to see. Like, I don't know, like I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I love Lego Star Wars, so I'm definitely picking this game up. Like 100%.
Yeah, honestly, as a completely casual Star Wars fan myself, I think this is looking great. Yeah. And I'm not usually excited about Star Wars Star Wars related things, but this one I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with that. It has a completely different look than any Star Wars or Lego game before. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, just another, like my 18th Lego game, and I was going to write it off, and then you started seeing like the over the shoulder views and the kind of gun battles and stuff like that, and it was really surprising just how much polish they've put into this game. So I'm there for it. I definitely want to check it out.
Also, thank you to
go ahead.
I was going to say thank you to Electric Video Gamer and Dash for reminding us the game is Dokev. That's the MMO we were talking about. Dokev. We didn't get any release info, but yeah, that aesthetic really stood out to me, and that fire music too. Like that music track, whatever the hell it was great.
Yep.
Maybe it was K-pop. I don't know what, but I loved it, and I want to see more of that game. I'm not into MMO, so I was a little deflated, admittedly, upon finding out that it's an MMO, but
Yeah.
I still want to check it out.
It's from the same team who did Black Desert Online, I think. And I've heard, like, I'm not crazy into MMOs that much, but like a family friend played that game like a lot, and they really enjoyed it. So I think for that crowd, it should do quite well. But again, I'm not an expert on it, but at least I've heard good things.
Yeah. I of course am still reeling from the announcement that April's going to be playable in Shredder's Revenge. This is, I think this is the first time we've ever seen 80s April playable in a, in a combat context. Maybe in a context period. I'd have to like, really look at my history of Ninja Turtles games, but I don't think she's typically ever been playable, that version of her. And it's just so cool. And I love the mic drop. She literally drops a mic as one of her attacks. That's so good. It did unfortunately get delayed to 2022, but you know what? Take all the time you need to get it right. I want this game to be as perfect as it can be because it's already looking so damn special. Man, I'm excited. Me too.
Yep. I'm really excited. I'd love to see Casey playable as well.
Same.
Casey, yes, Casey and Splinter. I want both of them to be playable.
Oh, Splinter would be amazing. That'd be so
I think he will be. I haven't, when they first showed off Shredder's Revenge, he's part of that opening animation and he's got that really cool wall run thing he's doing. There's no way they did that only for that animation. He's got to be playable. I think he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Oh, man, I definitely want... Like, I would say that Shredder's Revenge is one of my most anticipated games right now.
Me too.
I just cannot wait to try this.
Who's developing it? Do you guys know?
It's Dotemu is publishing. Dotemu's publishing. Yeah.
Because when watching, I was like, is this by Way Forward? Like, it for some reason, it gave me similar feelings to like what they've shown off a lot. It kind of reminded me of, like, a little bit like River City Girls. Obviously,
tribute
same
games.
genre. But
and as Jet said in our live audience chat tells us, they did Panzer Paladin and Mercenary Kings. Panzer Paladin was a lot of fun. So
Mercenary Kings is fantastic.
Yeah. And Dotemu Publishing and T. Lopes, baby, on music. And the little music we did here. Yeah, he's doing the soundtrack. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm glad they're taking the time they need to get it right. Don't rush it. It'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. I think one of the biggest surprises for me was that we actually got a release date for Horizon Forbidden West, and it's not quite as far into 2022 as I thought it would be. It's February 18th, which is a week before Saints Row reboot. And
oh man,
I
know that looked pretty cool too. But February is going to be stacked.
When did Zero Dawn release? Do you guys remember what month?
Zero Dawn came out in 2017, I believe, a month after Breath of the Wild.
I think so.
Oh, it came out in April.
Or a month before. Yeah, so I think it was a month after Breath of the Wild.
Well,
if it's either a month after or before.
Okay, well, maybe if the timing is if history repeats itself, we can get Breath of the Wild 2 in either January or March. That would be nice, right?
Oh man.
Okay. People are pointing out it was before. It was like either a week or a month before Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I remember being too swept up in Switch hype to really care about the original Horizon. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I never got a chance to play it, honestly, but we recently, my roommate just got a PS5.
Nice.
Like, he's been like really trying to get one for like months and months and months, and he finally got one. And we got Ratchet and Clank and Miles Morales. But
Ratchet and Clank is so good.
Yeah, it's the first, like, I've only played Ratchet and Clank like for multiplayer on like PS2, like very, very little, like just for multiplayer mode. I've known very little about the series, but this is like the first full experience I'm having, and it's like the weapon system is so much fun. Like,
and it just looks amazing. Hopefully your roommate has a 4K TV as well, because it looks absolutely stunning on a 4K.
Oh, unfortunately, we don't have a 4K.
Okay,
which is
it's
sort of
still
annoying,
a fantastic game. Still a fantastic game. Though.
Maybe it's worth an upgrade now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Joining the 4K, the 4K gang last November for a Black Friday deal, I have been consistently blown away. Steve and I have the same 4K TV, and it is the gift that keeps on giving. Almost a year later now, and I'm still, every time I turn that thing on, I'm still like, it's like the first time almost. It's like, this thing is so pretty. Yeah.
Can't deny. Maybe, I'll definitely look into it. Think.
Becca's live in our live audience chat showing that she is way more responsible than I am, saying, I can't wait till I'm done with this cold and you can eat pizza again. First of all, I hope you feel better. I hope you get over your cold really soon. Second of all, though, I would just eat the pizza anyway and just deal with the dairy and while having a cold. not the right approach. But I admire your self control, because if I wanted pizza, even though I had a cold, I just probably have the pizza.
That's the hard mode version. That's the hard difficulty. if you're sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think overall the Gamescom Opening Night Live presentation was a solid one. The second hour was a lot slower, though, than the first one. Second hour, oof.
I don't know about you guys, but I find that since, like, directs have almost become, like, the mainstream versus these live events, and even this wasn't, like, this was, like, there's a lot of pre-recorded stuff in it. Obviously, it wasn't, but, it was, not like the traditional like presentations as they did like pre-2013. But whenever I see a presentation which is like hour plus long, I'm thinking, why? Because I feel like it's just not like in this day and age, like these faster, shorter presentations do so much better that I just really don't understand why anyone in the industry is still having these super long-winded events, because it really sort of, as you said, the second hour was really slow. It's like, come on, guys. I don't know. It's really, I really think that having a faster system is, but it's like to each their own. It's just something which I enjoy more is where it's like, I think we've sort of been spoilt by the pacing of directs and like indie events and like indie world and stuff, because it's like announcement 1, announcement 2, announcement 3, versus this where it's like, oh, here's one quick announcement, and then an interview with someone else, which is like 5 minutes long, and then a game which you don't really care about. I don't know. It's really, I don't know. I think.
But you have to fit in time to give awards to games that haven't come out yet. Where I mean, that's very important.
Of course.
That's really that whole thing. Other than the obvious absurdity of it all, that whole thing just felt really skeevy to me, and just
like that one where they showed like, oh, we have 2 awards for the Switch game. Is it going to be Just Dance? Or I was like, is this real?
Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
Is this real? Yeah, it's like, I don't know, but it's definitely, it feels a lot more corporate with that sort of stuff, at least in my opinion.
No, totally. And I mean, if we're talking about, upcoming Switch games, how does Breath of the Wild 2, I guess Nintendo wasn't officially involved with Gamescom, but like that's the problem, right? Is that it's only a selection of games that, in this case, Ubisoft versus Ubisoft. It was so absurd.
That was so weird. I was like, why are they even, like, it's just sort of, I don't know. But I'm sure the interview, like, it's good for people's morale and stuff, but.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that is an issue with Jeff Keighley's particular presentation style, and I've said this before, like, all right, man, if that's how you get your money, I understand. But at the same time, it is very overt that folks can buy time on his shows. Like, it feels like when I see Ubisoft competing against itself for an award for a game that is the best game of the year that hasn't released yet, I'm like, that probably costs some money.
Or even that Dead Mouse section. I was like, this. Oh, sorry, Dead Mouse 5, as you said. I was like, this is like, I was like, this is I don't know, like it felt very sort of, I don't know, like he was sort of taking the piss, because like, I don't know, just really didn't sound genuine, like anything about what he was saying about that program.
And I didn't mind that at the time, but then we had some of our audience started telling us about his homophobic history, like his history.
Oh,
of homophobic and ableist remarks, and so that retroactively made me really hate that he had any time on the show, because fuck that.
Come on.
Real quick, Olenad in the patron chat makes a point. He says, isn't that more on Gamescom than Keighley, though? And no, actually. So Opening Night Live is run by Jeff Keighley and his production firm that he's, that does the Game Awards and everything else, which is why he promotes at the end his own personal projects like the Game Awards, and that he's going to be a Muppet. I mean, that seems like a weird way to close things out. He's like, by the way, hypest announcement, I'm a goddamn Muppet. I'm out. Which, all right. But so Opening Night Live, while it is in partnership with Gamescom, is very much Jeff Keighley's show. Like, that is just, kind of his middle of the year show. He used to do something very similar in concert with both YouTube and E3 before he decided to part ways with E3. It didn't have nearly the production value of Opening Night Live or the Game Awards, but, and Ash can probably attest to this, if you go through the JW in a traditional year at E3, you would see Jeff Keighley's YouTube gaming suite where he would be interviewing people, and folks at home would be streaming it. Little did they know, like 95% of games media was getting drunk in the bar right next to that whole thing. But yeah, so he definitely has a level of creative control, and I'm sure that things have to be passed through the folks that are running Gamescom, but I would not be surprised at all to find out that he has way more creative control than most folks think he does.
If he felt a way about something particular, I'm sure he could have said something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's literally the bottom line.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't necessarily dislike his presentation style as much as some. I don't really have a problem watching him do what he does, but I do have a problem with what you guys were just talking about. It does seem as though you can kind of buy time on his show, and that's what I don't like about it. But you know, in terms of his actual presenting, I'm generally fine with what I think he's gotten better over the years.
He's definitely got some practice in. He definitely has, like, you know, I feel like he knows what he's doing. He knows things to avoid, things to do. Hell, he can do a way better job than I would ever think. But I think it's the combination of what you said about, like, the sort of buying time, and then that in combination of what I was saying earlier with them being so much longer than other presentations, it makes it seem, again, sort of I guess, you know, a little bit more flimsy in certain areas.
Sure.
Yeah. But overall, like, it had some fantastic announcements. So.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. Was there anything else either of you wanted to highlight before we move on?
No.
Yeah, no, I think we covered everything.
Well, we're about to have something else highlighted for us anyway, because Alan Wilkinson with a £2 donation in the chat, or in the super chat, thank you very much, saying Marvel Midnight Suns looks fun. Hi, Nico. Yeah, I completely agree. It's essentially, I think, Marvel XCOM-esque something. Like, it was like XCOM-esque. Yeah. And so that did look really cool. I agree. I know we all thought it was Ultimate Alliance 4 before we found out it was something completely different. So yeah, no, that looks really cool. And yes, shout outs to Nico as part of that super chat. And yeah, so thank you so much, Alan, for that super chat. Next is Gladiator Loki with $2. I love that name. Asking, what is your guys' favorite Star Wars movie and why? Ooh, man. Okay, well, we'll rapid fire this so we can keep things moving. I think I'm going to say Return of the Jedi. I actually always like that a little bit more than Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, I know that's not maybe the popular answer, but I really always enjoyed Return of the Jedi.
I'm actually with you on that one. I just liked Luke coming back as like a badass and taking down the Empire, like getting his revenge, which originally was supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi until George Lucas decided that revenge was not a very Jedi-like concept. But yeah, it's probably my favorite movie too.
All right.
Just because it's fresh in my mind, again, I'm not a crazy Star Wars fan, but it's sort of like, I think the movie I've had the most fun with is Episode 3. And I also just love, I don't know, like, all the memes which come from that, like, hello there, General Kenobi. Like, I don't know. It's such, like, a fun watch.
I hate you.
Yeah, right? And I actually feel horrible at the end of that, where I'm like, oh my god, poor Anakin. I don't know. Like,
I know
it's goofy, like, the you know, the prequels, you know, but I don't know. It's just really, the prequels really are super fun to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And even though Hayden Christensen is not the best actor, he really did. I agree. I remember when I first saw that at the end of Revenge of the Sith, right? Is that episode 3? Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But I remember hearing him scream, like, I hate you. And I'm like, I got goosebumps. I'm like, okay, not the best actor, but he sold me on that scene for sure. And Jet Set says Ash Ewok fan Paulson in our live audience chat, and that is one reason. I do love the Ewoks. I absolutely fully admit that.
I will say that Episode 3 does give me my favorite sound clip in Star Wars history, which is Darth Vader going, no!
Oh, of course. No! Yeah, that'll never die. Yeah. $5 from Feeling Dreepy saying the quote-unquote awards were a lazy way of getting to talk about the games that were announced at the E3 show without having to show any new information, which, yeah, you could be completely right about that. That either way, it was incredibly cringy that they did that at all. And yeah, but thank you so much for the super chat. Also, $32 from John Salter. Wow, thank you so much, John. Saying, it's my birthday, and I'm feeling generous. Passing along the joy to the team that I've been following since Smash Ultimate coverage. Here's to another year of good vibes. Well, John, thank you so much. Happy freaking birthday, man. Thank you for sharing part of your birthday with us and for the donation. That's so kind of you. But, you know, hopefully somebody's taking you out to a nice dinner. You're going to do something nice for yourself on your birthday. But we really appreciate you spending some of it with us and for your Very generous donation, John. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Next is $4.99 from Screamo Shaman saying, late but hard day at work. Thank you all for making it easier to get through. As a side note, have y'all considered Jane Stephanie Sterling as a guest? I personally have not, only because I've never heard of her. But
yeah, I was about to say, I regret to say I don't know who she is.
Yeah, but I will note her down right now. Let me do that because I don't want to forget.
Oh my gosh, I know who she is. Guys, I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say her dead name, but yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
And she works with our previous guest, Laura Kate Dale. So
oh, okay.
I could definitely see. Oh, and I'm sorry, I don't know their pronouns, so apparently it's they them. But yes, I do know the name now that I think about it.
Well, I just put them down in my phone so I can remember to reach out because that's a great idea. Thank you, Screamo Shaman. I appreciate that. And, of course, for the donation.
Twilord, I'm sorry, but I don't know their channel name because I don't follow their content, but I'm aware of who they are.
Right. Next is $4.99 from Z Patty saying, I'm going to need some good vibes as this teacher starts school tomorrow. Vaxxed to the max and masked. Well, all the good vibes to you. Thank you for all the incredible work you do in education. I have nothing but just maximum respect for educators and anybody who works in the education space. My wife is a school psychologist. She's on the front lines doing that too. So mad respect to you. Madz respect to you.
Yeah, no, 100%. Teachers are awesome.
Yeah, no. Thank you so much, Z Patty. Next is $5 Canadian from Matt Kryn saying, King of Fighters 15 looks amazing. The new characters look cool, and 300 music tracks in the game is crazy. I hadn't heard about 300 music tracks in the game. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything other than Smash Ultimate or I guess just Smash games, Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate that would beat that. So
that's insane.
That's incredible. Yeah.
It is.
Well, I want to play King of Fighters 15, and I know
Same.
A few people in the chat were talking about how it comes out the day before Horizon Forbidden West, which is really unfortunate. That is, I wish that wasn't the case. It seems like they're sending it out to die, but hopefully
different audiences though, and I
don't think there's a lot of audience overlap there. That's a good point.
Plus, the FGC will pick up King of Fighters, and it'll at least thrive on that front.
Right. All right. Well, after all that Gamescom goodness and Super Chat goodness, it is time to move on to our next news story, which is a follow-up to a story that we reported on probably a couple of weeks ago now. So let's get that up on screen. So this is actually late breaking. This just happened maybe an hour or so before we went live with this show. But Niantic, in a Twitter announcement, have officially walked back the controversial changes they made to Poké Stop and gym interaction distances in Pokemon GO. Basically, they shortened those distances because of the pandemic out of safety reasons. And then for whatever reason, during the continuing pandemic, as the Delta variant was raging and getting worse, they're like, hey guys, guess what? We're going to restore the usual interaction distances so it's not as safe to play as it was before. Have fun. And a lot of people were very unhappy about that, very vocal about it. There's a huge backlash. And fortunately today, like I said, about an hour before we went live with the show, I think, they have walked that back and have restored the pandemic era interaction distances. So 80 meters will be the base interaction radius for both Pokestops and gyms globally going forward. And they said that their full task force report is still coming out on September 1st, but I guess they wanted to get this announcement out in front of that for obvious reasons. I'm just wondering why it took them this long. I mean, if they were going to do that anyway. And they could have avoided the PR disaster.
I don't even understand why they would even consider doing it in the first place. Like even post-pandemic, I would just keep it how it is because it makes it more accessible for everyone. There was all those issues when the game first came out. Not issues, but more so you heard stories about sometimes Pokestops weren't where they were supposed to be, people getting hurt. I don't know. I just feel like the larger distance just makes it easier for everyone. And I guess they might have seen, they might see, I guess, do they do it for monetary reasons? Where they're we can make more, money out of having more Pokemon? I don't know. I don't really understand.
My guess is yes.
Yeah, I don't really understand how that would work, but I guess they're it's easier for people to get items, so they're less likely to buy ones outright, and I'm like, well, come on, guys, like, I don't know, I feel like that's just not smart. I just keep it how it is. I think that boat sailed. I think if you it's like when you changed it in the first place, like you should have realized it was done. That's how it's gonna be. Because changing it back just makes you look shitty, like just outright. I don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think?
What do you think, Steve?
I agree that I saw someone in our patron chat say that sponsored Poké Stops are probably part of the reason. Being able to interact with those probably. I think what happened is that it damaged their financial bottom line more than they probably estimated it would. And, they initially came out with this and said, oh, well, we're going to get a group of players together and get feedback. And then in September, we'll do it. And they realized, like, oh, crap, people are not spending as much money as they were when we had these changes out there. We need to keep that cash flow. So I'm sure that, honestly, this came down, like I said, in the what was it, a month ago when we were talking about this?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Yeah, that they likely saw that there was a drop off in player spending, and we're like, okay, well, we're going to roll this back. So I think that it just came down to the fact that it probably cost them more money than they expected. That
makes sense,
right? I think so. I mean, it usually does come down to money, and I know that's what Mike Capella was also saying in our live audience chat. And I wonder though if the PR fallout was worth the money they ostensibly, I guess, gained from changing it even back for a little bit. I don't know. Maybe the whole reason they're moving it back is because they realize that the hit they're taking is greater than anything that's making up for it monetarily. So
yeah,
either way, the end result is that it's good for players.
One thing I will say is that I will be trying Pokemon Unite very soon. Nintendo actually sent me some credits for the game, and they were like, hey, we urge you to try it. So I don't know, maybe I'll stream it or something, but I'll be trying it out soon.
I've heard very mixed things on Pokemon Unite.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I feel like I vibe really well with the mainline Pokemon games, and I'm definitely hyped for Legends, but most things outside of that definitely leave me a bit cold.
Yeah. But I mean, like, some people have enjoyed it. I've heard it's just like very, I don't know, I played a little bit of it, just like a few matches, and I just thought it was okay. It's nothing which really is for me, but that's fine. I'm not into like everything, so I'm probably the wrong person to speak about it. But regardless, like, yeah, I would say like just them doing something new with the franchise is always a good thing.
Agreed.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I haven't really been playing Pokemon Go at all for quite a while. My wife and I used to play it a lot during the first generation, like the first year it was out. I wouldn't mind getting back into it. I don't know if this would be enough for me to do so. Certainly not to spend money on it, but I am glad that for the people for whom Pokemon Go is still a huge draw. And I know people, one of my best friends loves Pokemon Go and plays it with their family pretty much every day. I'm glad that they're going to be safer again and that they're doing the right thing, even if it's for the wrong reasons. At least the end result is that people are safer. And as far as Pokemon Unite goes, I've heard good things generally, but I am not a MOBA person, so I just really haven't made time to check it out. I don't really care.
I've heard mainly I heard mainly like I remember Arlo talking about it and saying that just for company develop, less so that the game's bad, but more so that the company developing it, it's like they unpay their workers and
Oh no.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure it was something along that. Just the co-company or like the developers of Pokemon Unite, something along those lines, where just the company helping to develop it isn't the most, fair. But I'd have to do more research on it.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I feel a little bit with it.
Right. Gotcha. All right. Well, then with that said, I think we're about ready to move on to our next news story, which is, of course, I'm just going to come out right out and say it. It is the continuing dumpster fire that is the Activision-Blizzard situations. Just to let everybody know, we're not going to regurgitate all the grisly shit they've been accused of. That's not what we're here to do. That's all out there. We're just going to give you the updates on the latest of the situation and then move on. And in the meantime, just think of puppies and kittens like we showed on screen during Activision.
That was fantastic. I just want to say, guys, that was
such a good
idea.
I love it.
Brilliant idea.
Sometimes I have good ones.
Let's get that up on screen. So, California, the state of California, my state, has expanded their lawsuit against Activision-Blizzard, adding amendments that temporary and contract workers are now included on the people they're suing on behalf of. So not just full-time employees, now temp and contract workers. And they're claiming, and this is really gross, they're claiming that HR has been shredding documents related to the investigations and complaints. So on top of all the nasty, ugly shit they've been accused of, now we find out that they have likely been destroying evidence of it. And the whole just gets ever
that's not good.
How does this get worse?
Man, the hole just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And man, fuck Activision-Blizzard for this, for all of it. Obviously, that goes without saying. But just for just what we continue to find out, it just gets worse and worse. I just don't.
That's horrible. I can't even I'm just shocked that they would do that. Like, they obviously the higher ups just don't give a shit about people's feelings or the bad press. They're just like, oh, who cares? Let's just try and hide it up. Jesus.
The problems at Activision-Blizzard run so incredibly deep that I wonder how people come to work there in the first place. You usually do a little homework on the place you go to work, and I'm not victim blaming at all, but I just cannot imagine that Glassdoor or some other service like that rates employers has a sterling reputation for Activision-Blizzard. I mean, this place sounds like a frat house. You walk in and the HR director's name is Boner or something. I don't understand.
Maybe it's just maybe it's the Twilight Zone. You just go through. It's like the Upside Down in Stranger Things. It's just a different world. You're like, whoa. And it's just it's all just not reality. And it's oh wait, I don't know. I honestly have no idea how I'm glad that all this stuff is coming out. I don't know too much about this, but I'm glad for stuff I've heard, it sounds horrible. I've heard nothing but negative stuff recently about Blizzard / Activision. Do you guys know if so did they buy Activision recently, or have they always been joint companies?
They've not been. Activision acquired Blizzard.
Oh, right.
A long time ago, though. Quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
I want to say a decade or more at this point.
All right.
I could be wrong on that, but it sounds like, Blizzard is arguably the worst party in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm just curious on if it was both parties beforehand, or if one corrupted the other company, or if I don't know how this bullshit started happening, but I don't know. This is I think it was
probably particularly egregious at Blizzard because a lot of the worst stories we hear are from the Blizzard side of the house. But I would not at all. I mean, this speaks to a much larger corporate culture. So I checked. It was 2008 when they merged.
Right.
So that's 13 years ago. So any problems that you're hearing, probably exist, I mean, this goes up to Bobby Kotick, up to the people at the top of the company. You hear about, people highly placed in the organization just ignoring complaints from people. So
that's horrible.
Yeah. I just think that, to fix this, and I don't know how much fixing there is to be done, but you really do have to gut management in this company. And obviously it's a company that makes a ton of money. Bobby Kotick has a comically huge salary. So as far as the corporate entity is concerned, they probably think things are great. They probably, they're paying Bobby these huge bonuses. And this is the first time his feet have probably really been held to the fire. And I wonder how that will shake out. If I was on Activision Blizzard's board and this was happening around my company, I would be like, we got to fire all of these people if we want the gravy train not to stop. Yeah. And I hope that that's what they do. And yeah, it will never be in the pursuit of, making a happy, healthy work environment. It just won't be. No. Obviously the people in charge of this place don't care about that. But if it damages their bottom line to the extent that they actually feel that they need to change something, then they'll change it. And whether Bobby Kotick and all of those people get ousted because they're not making enough money for the company, or if they get ousted because someone actually cares, at least the end result is the same.
Yeah.
And go ahead,
sorry,
please.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, if anyone, I think this is why I think it's so important to instead, like if it's like for the consumer, right? I think this is something which, because mainstream people, like I have friends who play, like, who aren't really into video games that much and just play Warzone a lot. And I'm really trying to introduce them to more just like indie titles instead, because I'm like, well, that is you're directly supporting a small team or just an individual, and how, where your money's going and like how it's supporting. I just think clarity between consumer and creator is just like very, very important, and it's something which just people should become more self-aware about. So
absolutely, if you want to play a good competitive free shooter, go play Splitgate. I don't know anything bad about the developers of Splitgate. Right. And it is infinitely more fun than any COD that I've ever played.
100%.
Well, it's fun. It's maddening and just horrifically just like funny in a very dark way that they're basically coming right out and admitting guilt by not only shredding evidence, but they're knowingly leveraging the risk of being found out for shredding evidence against the risk of just making things better, of just fixing the problem and getting out of this hot water in the first place. They're choosing to shred evidence and try to cover it up instead of just doing the work to make it better, and then they can go on and have all their wonderful profits for Bobby Kotick.
They just think they're above. I think they just don't give a shit. They just think they're above it, and it's horrendous and annoying. It's really annoying. But again, that's why it's like, transparency with this stuff is so important, And I feel like exactly like in 20 years from now, I think that's why I'm just like, I just think the indie scene and small companies is just going to become like where it's at with video games. Like, sure, like, we have these big conglomerates. But just seeing, promotion for smaller titles and for developers who, have, just fair work environments or are self-employed and stuff. I think that's just like something like a positive which can be taken from this, is that it's like, okay, that's shitty. This shouldn't be happening anymore. And there shouldn't be a company this big, with this much shit going on.
Agreed.
I really hope things do get better. I don't have a lot of hope that they will. I mean, at least pending all, the investigation. As Etienne Obin says in our YouTube chat, I hope the state of California forces the entire long arm of the law down their throat. And I couldn't have said it better myself. I really hope they are punished and found guilty to the fullest extent possible for everything they've been doing. And I just hope it gets better for everyone who works there. I really do.
100%.
Clearly, though, Activision-Blizzard are not interested in doing the right thing here, so hopefully they're forced to, even though they shouldn't have to be forced to. But with that said, we will continue. We obviously are going to continue not covering Activision-Blizzard games here on the channel, and should any come up during the future game show stream tomorrow, we will do the same thing we did today, which is put up puppies and kittens on screen instead, which are way better than Activision-Blizzard games.
Yeah. Smart thinking. Yeah. Smart thinking, guys.
Really quickly, I saw some chatter in the chat about this. I think I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the show, but yes, that the car is a stand-in for Derek. It's a running gag now. Derek is not here today, not because he's sick or anything. He's just on vacation with friends, so don't worry about him. He will be back on Friday. No worries there, but that is why he's not here. We, of course, miss him, but he will be back on TNT as normal on Friday. So just in case you were wondering where he is, I apologize for not letting you all know at the top of the show. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to our fourth story of the day. So, a Mr. Lance Barr, who is the designer of the NES and SNES, has officially retired from Nintendo after almost 4 decades with the company, and is quote-unquote moving on to other projects. To which I can, only say initially, congratulations for almost 40 years at Nintendo and for designing 2 of the most iconic video game consoles of all time. Thank you for your work and for your service. The Nintendo and SNES are obviously, like I said, iconic. I mean, I grew up with them. They've been huge fixtures in all of our lives, I'm sure. And after 4 decades with the company, and I guess one of his more recent projects with Nintendo was designing the Wii Nunchuck, which is its own very interesting wow.
Controller.
So yeah. As this Nintendo Life article states, Barr's work was of particularly vital importance because the NES was coming out following the big video game crash of 1983. And the NES had to be something new and different. It had to look different and stand out. And as Nintendo Life says, it's fair to say that those efforts were successful. Because when the NES did release in North America in 1985, it quickly dominated and became the top-selling system. And over 60 million units of the Famicom/NES would eventually be sold worldwide. So it's obvious that the NES and SNES were both huge hits, and I think that is due in no small part to Mr. Barr's work. You guys have any particular thoughts on the NES and SNES's aesthetics as Mr. Barr designed them?
I was just gonna say it just as a little joke. It's like, oh well, I wish he stayed on a little bit longer to fix drift and then left.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, you see like rugs of like the NES controller and just like the designs, like phone cases. Just it is like part of just like pop culture now. And yeah, what you said about the crash, it's like being able to like reinvent video games with like a whole new like sort of like perspective, I think, or just sort of like making it seem like appealing to a new market should not go like underappreciated. Like that is like it's almost like with certain I don't know, it's just like it's really, because I if I'm honest, like I didn't know his name until like hearing about this story, and like that's a shame because I wish I did, because it's like I'd love to see like a documentary about this sort of stuff, or just like more information about like these people behind the scenes, which you really don't know that much about.
Absolutely. I'm deeply curious if this guy also designed the Nintendo AVS. Have you guys ever seen that?
No. I don't think I
have.
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Yeah.
Prior to the NES hitting the market, they had shown off at like the Consumer Electronics Show in the early 80s, back in 1985. They had shown off the first pass at the design for what would become the NES, and it shares some DNA with the product we all know and love and that this guy designed, apparently. But it was called, they originally were billing it as the Nintendo Advanced Video System. And it had like tape playback controls for some reason, a keyboard, wireless controllers, a flight stick.
Oh, I see it now. Whoa. It's like crazy.
It is wild, this thing. And I gotta know if this guy has one of these. Like, I really want to see one of these in the flesh.
I'm curious if it's like he designed that, and they're like, oh, maybe you should like calm down a little bit.
Maybe dial it back a little.
Or maybe it was the other way around. They're like, please help us. We don't know what we're doing here. He's like, all right, well, we don't need this. We don't need that. Let's keep it a little bit more simple. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird because this product looks like there's no way it was based on the Famicom. Like, it looks like it was designed to run different software, which I think of a world where Nintendo didn't release the NES and release this thing instead and just bombed. That would be crazy. But also, I really want a Nintendo keyboard now. Like, the keyboard looks dope. I want that thing.
Yeah,
but
that's really cool.
I gotta tip my hat to this guy. I mean, the NES and the SNES are iconic designs. The Wii Nunchuck is iconic in its own way. And I was gonna say, before you had read that, I wonder what he's been doing. More importantly, I wonder what he's done since the Nunchuck. Obviously, he probably can't talk about that, but
so he's been with a company, he's leaving the company just recently, right?
Right.
So do you think he had any help with like the Switch or the Wii U or any of the recent consoles?
You would think so. I mean, there's no way he hasn't done anything since the Wii Nunchuck, right? And he's only now leaving Nintendo. So I would imagine that he has to have had a hand in some more of their recent, hardware or peripherals.
Because he definitely can't be happy with how the Joy-Cons are right now. If I was him, at least, I think I'd be like,
Right.
Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah.
But
maybe that's why he's leaving. It's like, I can't be associated with this. Bye, guys. Bye.
Right. But I am curious as to what he would have been doing since then. It is worth noting, though, that some of the other peripheral designs, or some of the peripheral designs he has under his belt, include the NES Zapper, NES Advantage, and NES Max. He also designed the top-loading refresh design of the NES, that was released later on. So he designed both versions of the NES. Clearly, a very talented man. But I am so curious as to what he would have done since the nunchuck.
I'm curious also how he ended up getting his job, and like just I don't know. Again, like that's why I'd love to see like some sort of documentary or just like retrospective on on all of this.
I see Aaron and Dan in our live audience patron chat. Aaron says, "I will say that I prefer the colored buttons of the Super Famicom over the SNES controller's blue and purple buttons." And Dan says, "PAL SNES is the way to go." And the Nintendo Life article actually talks about that, how Europe got to kind of keep that softer, more rounded shape of the Super Famicom, while North America got that harder, boxier design. And the Nintendo Life article states that Barr, the reason that change was affected was because Barr felt the Super Famicom was too soft and had no edge, presumably for a North American market. Everything's got to be bigger and angry and whatever.
I mean, just look at
North America.
Yeah, look at like Sega versus Nintendo. It's like it was all about like like Sonic's edgy and cool. So it's like if they had this bubbly round console, like I can imagine kids of a playground being like, that's for baby console, like stuff like that.
I agree with that. I feel like back then, I mean, console wars today are awful, but they were
I don't even want to know about that
back in the 90s. There was definitely some judgment that was thrown around based on what you chose to play on. And Sega was pretty much the perpetrator in that case. Like all their commercials portrayed Nintendo fans as like whiny, wimpy babies.
Was that only in America though? Because I wasn't around for the
I don't know.
console wars in
I know
England.
In Japan it was a lot more like you didn't talk trash about your competitors. You just showed what you had. Japanese commercials didn't really engage in trash talking. I don't know about European commercials. That would be an interesting topic to bring up.
I really think culture, like I don't know, it's really interesting seeing the comparison of designs and then with understanding culture. Because I'm sure, again, like I'm almost positive that the reason for the design is for similar reasons we said, where it's like, it has to be a bit more edgy, it has to be a little bit more, fashionable for America versus something of what like Europe or Japan would want.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out this guy worked on the Switch though. I remember, and I wish I could remember who it was I sat down with from Nintendo. I want to say it was Bill Trinan. And we were talking at E3 about the Switch. Like it was E3 2017, E3 2017, right after the Switch had launched. And we talked about the hardware itself. And I had asked him what it was like, getting prototypes in from Japan and then trying it out and what the process was like of creating the Switch hardware. And he had mentioned to me that Nintendo of America plays a far more active role in the design of hardware than most people think. That it's much more collaborative in nature than people assume, because we've heard stories out of Sega, right, from the 90s and from even in the Dreamcast era, where they would basically just get the console from Japan and they'd be told this is what it is, market it. And I guess with Nintendo it's a bit more of like, hey, try it out, let us know if you want us to change anything, and they'll take those into consideration. And I imagine that this guy was probably involved in that to some extent. But I do wonder, like you said, Madz, like, is he upset now about Joy-Con drift? Like, does he feel personally responsible in some way? It would definitely be interesting to, Nintendo is such an OPEG company. Like, we'll probably never know the answer to that, but
this story sort of reminds me about, I think it was like last year or maybe a year before, a lot of information coming out about Donkey Kong Country and like the design of DK. And like how it was like sent back and forth between like Miyamoto and the guys over at Rare and like comparing it and stuff. And I think like again, like even back then where communication was like through like fax or just like a lot more long-winded, the company still went out of their way to be like, okay, we have to, it's not just us in this conversation, it's a collaborative thing. Right. Which is sort of a strange contrast to what a lot of people say about like, the stereotype of Miyamoto being like stubborn and wanting like, specific designs, and like the stuff about Paper Mario being a certain way. It's like, it's such a weird thing with Nintendo. Like what stuff is, meant for like, collaboration and discussion versus other things which are more strict. It's I don't know, it's really interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it is. I really like the there's a poetic, there's a nice poetry to the fact that this guy's retiring now, right after we talked about how the SNES just turned 30 in North America. On the last episode, we were remembering 30 years of Super Nintendo, and so it's there's a nice bit of poetry and symmetry in the fact that he's retiring now. And what a legacy, man! I mean, the Super NES is still it still is my favorite console of all time, I would say.
I just imagine him like carving a model for the SNES, and he's being like, 30 years from now, I'm out. I'm just gonna quit.
Yeah. Steve, you have been accused, my good friend, by Nax Ethan in the live audience chat of flexing by not being able to recall whether or not a conversation you had was with Bill Trinan.
It is actually just out of an abundance of caution. Nintendo is really particular about quote attribution. And I know that I talked with someone about it, but as Ash can attest to, when you're at E3 and you're interviewing people, it's hard enough to remember it the week of. It is insanely difficult to remember it years after the fact.
And you definitely don't want someone going up to me and, I never said that. Why are you saying that about me? It's like everyone's worst nightmare. Like, I'd hate to accidentally quote someone. So it's like, most things I think you should take take it, not with a grain, like more than a grain of salt, but it's just like everything is a little bit, don't take everything 100% for fact all the time, because I think that could just maybe
I've never, to be clear, Bill Trinan is probably the highest ranking person at Nintendo I've ever had the opportunity to sit down and talk with. I've never talked with Miyamoto, never talked with, I've spoken to Reggie, but not formally on the record before. Same. I've met Miyamoto, I've met Aonuma, but it was like chance encounters in a hallway. It was never like, hey, Nintendo's going to sit you down with our most important person ever because you're Steve.
Right.
Nintendo has literally told me the opposite. They're like, you are not big or popular enough to sit down with Shigeru Miyamoto. That is, I am not exaggerating. Those are the exact words I was told at one point. Yes.
That's terrible.
That whole relationship with I don't know, just like the Nintendo Partner Program and all that stuff, it's just very confusing to just what I've heard, and just like it's very, again, they're really particular with that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand too. Like they want to be clear. Like, these are their top, most important people. I'm sure they're in demand constantly. And I can tell you from the interviews I've had with other folks at Nintendo who, might not have the profile of a Miyamoto, but are really important folks, like Mr. Nogami, who is in charge of Splatoon. Oh God, they'll kill me if I get his name wrong, but the producer for ARMS, I met with him as well and talked to him. I talked to some folks from Intelligent Systems about Fire Emblem, but of all the people that I've ever interviewed, Nintendo is the one that is the most strict about making sure that, one, their people stay on message. So you can't steer the interview off course into something you want to talk about.
Oh no, you sure can't.
Because they'll be like, hey, we're here to talk about this. And the other part is they record your interview as well. And if you misquote, they will send back the recording and be like, yeah, we didn't say that, which I'm fortunate in that has never happened to me. But I did have one instance where I had to ask Nintendo for their recording of an interview because my phone died as I was recording. And I picked it up at the end of the interview and I was like, oh my God.
Oh no. Well, at least I guess that just is pretty smart. I feel like, I think if you want, it's like they're out of any brand, they're pretty consistent with messaging and what their opinions are. So I don't know. That's why I find those. I think that's why you don't hear that many news stories about people bringing up I remember one time someone, I think it was on Smosh, they interviewed Miyamoto and being like, oh, where's F-Zero or something, and I'm like, whoa, that was a strange, I remember seeing some articles about that, because it's I think those opportunities to talk about that is really rare, because they're stay on task, don't sway off to talk about something else.
And honestly, that stuff needs to happen too. It could be stifling for interviewers and content creators like us, but at the same time, and I've mentioned this before on some show or whatever discussion. I'll never forget being there in the Smash 4 developer roundtable for when Pac-Man was revealed at E3, whatever year that was, and Sakurai was just taking questions, and they weren't being moderated. And the guy who got to go before me, I lost my question to this asshole who asked, who basically just asked Sakurai, would you ever consider letting the fans balance the game for you, like hardcore Melee fans, because we obviously they know a lot more, they know a lot about the game, the subtext being they know a lot more about balancing than you do. And Sakurai, for his so super rude, it was such an asshole question, but Sakurai, to his credit, played it off perfectly and said, have you ever made a game before? And the entire room just erupted in cheers. It was great.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, the guy.
I think that's almost poetic as well, Ash. But you missed your chance. But for everyone to applaud and be like,
exactly.
Oh, no, that's
it was
karma.
worth it. Yeah, no, it was worth it that the guy got, yeah.
Out of curiosity, like, don't worry if you can't, but do you remember what you were going to ask him?
Oh, totally. I was just going to ask if you could tell, any anecdotes related to Mega Man getting into Smash, because that was my big thing. Mega Man was my dream character, and I just wanted to know. He's pretty much always said that it was an easy thing to do because it just made sense. Mega Man was the most highly requested character after Sonic back in the day, so that it wasn't a challenge. But I was just curious to know if there were any, anecdotes he could tell me about the process of getting Mega Man into Smash. And to be fair, that would have sated my curiosity, but it's a much less interesting happening than this other guy getting roasted for asking the dumb question that he did. So it works out. It works out.
I mean, you probably missed like the best story of all time, but it's no big deal.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, recently I'm not sure if you guys have talked about this already, but those like he did a second interview with like the second part of that cafe interview with what's his name?
With Harada.
Harada.
I watched that. I had to, like, I forgot about it, and then I watched it over the weekend, and I was like, nope, he was lying to us. Like, he's just talking about the concept of retirement. Like, it had nothing to do with Sakurai at all.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't have that, he doesn't give that energy of someone who, it's like he loves what he does. So I feel like he'd always do something. I'm sure he probably is saying that because, like, I mean, like, I know, like, family and people in my life who always get told, you should retire, and they're like, yeah, sure, and then they never do. So that sort of gives me the same energy as Sakurai.
I will say that Sakurai and I both have a shared love of flexing, because man, did homeboy flex in that video. He was like,
oh, does he?
Well, yeah, he starts off and he's like, everybody always thinks that all I'm doing when I'm not working is playing games, that all I do is play video games. He's like, I don't play games when I'm not working. He's like, I like to drive. Nice. And then he shows off his like 2022 Mercedes G-Class. Like, and he's like, is it okay to show off that you have such a fancy car? And he's like, I don't care.
Oh, what a baller.
I love that. That's amazing. I got to watch this. Thanks for reminding me. I guess since we're all flexing then, since that's the theme, to bring this whole side conversation back full circle, don't feel too bad about me for the question I didn't get to ask. Is later on I got to body Bill Trinen and Smash Brothers Ultimate at San Diego Comic-Con, so
nice.
It's all good.
I'm jealous.
So it was worth it. It was a fair exchange. It's all good. All right. Well, we do have one more news story to cover today, and Steve, my good friend, I put this one in precisely for you because I knew you'd be hype about it. So let's get that up on screen. So the latest Spirit event coming to Smash Bros. Ultimate is starting this Friday, so in a couple of days, and it is, of course, celebrating the release of No More Heroes 3. And there are going to be 3 spirits added to the game as part of this event. Travis, who can be upgraded into full armor Travis, and Fu. And I'm not going to use the other name for Fu because I don't know if that's a spoiler, Steve. You can use it.
Oh, it's not. Jean-Baptiste?
Okay, it's not. Okay, I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to, spoil anybody. But yeah, Fu / Jean-Baptiste VI is the other spirit that's going to be added to Smash Ultimate. So that means on Friday I'm going to have to keep my spirit event or my spirit collection at 100% because I have every single one so far still, except for the Monster Hunter one, Razewing Ratha something. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah. Is it Razewing?
Oh, was it with the like event for Monster Hunter Stories?
No, yeah, the Monster Hunter Stories 2 event where you need to have save data from the full game.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll
And
get
I
it
don't have that
eventually
one.
if you end up getting the game.
Raise Wing Ratha, which is based on Rathalos. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's the only one I don't have. But Steve, I know you're. I don't think you have all the spirits, but I'm sure you'll be.
No, I
these
sure
3,
don't.
huh?
But I'm gonna have these. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No More Heroes 3. I just finished recording the review today. And since it's out there, I can say that it'll be up on the channel on the 27th at midnight Eastern. So that's 9 p.m. Pacific on August 26th. So tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific is when the review goes up. Look forward to it. I think you all know that I'm a huge No More Heroes fan. So
No, you.
no. All I'll say is that I didn't give it a pure bliss. So, surprise.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I know. I'm sure we all are. I'm looking forward to seeing what you thought of it because I did get to see you play some of it while you were over at my place in LA a couple of weeks ago, and it certainly looked really interesting and a lot of fun. But I'm curious to hear, the thoughts of a hardcore mega fan such as yourself.
Have you, Ash? Have you played the series?
Only a little bit. I played about half of No More Heroes 1, never got around to 2, and not for lack of interest or because I don't like the series. I just got sidelined by other games. I've always meant to go back to them, and I know, Steve, I might have to sleep with one eye open until I do so, because Steve might, assassinate me for not playing the games in full.
Yeah.
So I need to do that.
Yeah, for me, I've always heard about it, but never got around to it. And then I got the when it came out on the eShop, I purchased both of them. I've only played and again, similar. I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. I've only played I'd say 4 or 5 hours of the first game. But for sound effects and the sound design and just the silliness, it's as soon as this was before his Mii Fighter costume was revealed, I was like, oh my god, this would be so funny to have him as a Smash character. I'd be so happy to have him as one. But then thinking about it, I'm like, well, I think him charging his sword might not be the most Smash friendly animation and stuff. I don't know. But
Right.
just the zaniness and how silly that game is. If any of you guys watching haven't played it, I would definitely recommend checking it out because even with even though it's a single player game as well, playing it with other friends in the house and stuff is such a fun time because it's just so ridiculous that we were just laughing the entire time. The scream sound effect of him going ah every time he
My
enemy.
spleen.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed what I played of it. It's just a matter of getting back to it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed what I played of No More
They
Heroes
are so. I will say that No More Heroes 1 and 2 are very short games. You can finish. I want to say No More Heroes 1 is 9 to 10 hours. No More Heroes 2 is 5 or 6.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Travis Strikes Again is pretty short too, 8 or 9 hours to beat. For Helen, hey, it's Dingo in the chat, just asking if it's imperative that you play Travis Strikes Again to understand 3. I'd recommend it if you got the time, but you don't have to. I mean, No More Heroes is a series that goes so far off the rails that trying to understand it can make your head hurt. So it's
Right.
fine if you just enjoy 3 for what it is, which is all I can say about it, but it does assume that you've played Travis Strikes Again.
But it's not as aggressive as Kingdom Hearts with you
No.
needing to replay stuff.
No, I probably most series aren't aggressive as Kingdom Hearts in terms of having to play, even the side games to understand what the hell's going on from game to
Yeah,
game.
that franchise is ridiculous.
Yeah.
With all that.
Let's see. So look forward to that Spirit event in Smash Bros. Ultimate. I know Steve is, and that's exactly why we covered it on today's show. But that does bring us to the end of our news for the day. We do have one more super chat to read out, though, from Hendrix Trog with $5, saying, "I'm pretty much caught up now on the other kill the past entries Suda worked on, so I'm ready to go for No More Heroes 3." Awesome. Well, look forward to Steve's review. We all know it's going to be great. It's coming from a super fan, and so look forward to that. And yeah, well, thank you all for joining us for today's episode. As always, we love doing this with you 3 times a week. But before we head out, as usual, Madz, please let our amazing fans know where they can find you, man.
Thank you so much. You can find me at GetMads on YouTube and GetMads on Twitter, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I also have, a second channel for live streaming. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. Look forward to. I'm trying to like upload as often as I can, but unfortunately, animation is kind of hard sometimes, and trying to get it out consistently is just a lot harder than it's like than it usually is. And it's like it's very frustrating. It's a little bit. I'm a little bit jealous of you guys for being able to like post daily, because I'm like, damn, I wish I could even do weekly. But yeah, just tune in for future videos. Check out like my back catalog. I put a lot of love and energy into them. So just watching a video really means a lot.
Well, thank you so much, man. It's a joy to having you here on the show. We'd love to have you back anytime. You're certainly a friend of the channel. We think you're awesome. Much. And it's been a blast having you back. So thank you, and I know we'll be having you back again for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that does bring us to the true end of today's episode.
There is one final super chat.
Let me go grab. Thank you for that. From Zaire Miller, $4.99. Thank you so much. Saying, Jeff said on his Twitter about feedback that all the awards were done by Gamescom. Makes you wonder what goes on in the background. That's interesting.
It is weird.
I was not aware of that. Yeah.
I don't know. That just seems odd. Okay.
It is. I mean, I'm not going to say he's not telling the truth. I can't levy that kind of accusation, and I don't have any reason to think he's lying necessarily. But that is a little odd. Either way, it was cringy as hell. those awards.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind not seeing those happen again. Hopefully they don't. But I guess speaking of Gamescom, really quick plug for us. We are going to be reacting to the Future Games show at Gamescom tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. Primarily, we don't know what we're going to see mostly, but we do know that we're getting the next two Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl characters getting announced sometime during that presentation. So that's one of the main reasons we're doing it, but we all, I think it's supposed to include over like 40 games or something, so should be interesting. Will be fun. Either way, come hang out with us for an hour. I think it's like an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And should be a lot of fun. So that's 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. And with that said, that does bring us to the true end of today's episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. We just love doing this with you all 3 days a week. And one of the reasons we're able to do that, the main reason we're able to, is because of all of our amazing patrons at the producer tier and above who make this show happen. Because without them, we really couldn't make it happen. So thank you all so much from the bottom of our hearts for making today's News Tonight happen. But as always, we do also owe an extra special thank you to all of our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine, wonderful, awesome folks include Jared Ettinger, Brandon Bovia, Rob Arman X, Etiono Ben, Dan and Twistle, Dennis J, Z Patty, Hyrule Hermit, Sky Blue Flames, Adam O'Sullivan, Octopuppet, Richard Herrera, Michael Phone, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Kitty Kong Facts, Angel Martinez, Vedran Hotik, 112, John, Joshua Hunter, Evernight Studio, Benny Yao, Azran127, Pagrima, Kinrule09, Jake Pelka, Geller, Joseph Rutkin, Geeky Griffin, Lucky Wonderfish, Kyle, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Doug Shomix, Andrew Medeiros, Joseph Bayer, Aurum M, Sakuragi, Becca, Rocks the Cat, Fizzywig Hoyd, Critmonger, The Legend of Groose, Eddie B, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, Kenneth Lee Stingle, West Egg, Zenith, Kota, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goron Amber, Straight Lace, Justin Matthews, Hoobie, Too Much Spaghetti, No Such Thing, Mega Conrad, Ascaron809, Kane, Captain Finlandia, 60 Minutes and 60 Seconds, Christopher Masterson, Spicy Pandotter, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Grantles, Ravelox, Synchrolord, Brainchild, Rosa Pardo Bowling.
Hi, Mom.
Kotar Peck, Scuff196, Kane Woolley, Skull Kid Tiger, AJB Cool, Blizzica, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Phantom Project, Cystic Warrior 29, Super Dank Awesome Unicorn Guy, Darik, Nathan the Voice Actor, Chibi J, Bongo Lover, Mumbling Yeti, Cameron Sharp, Fangs, and last but certainly not least, Dinner Sonic. Thank you all so much for your incredible support of the channel. And as a reminder, we are fully Patreon funded, so check us out over on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming, where we offer a wide range of tiers, all with their own awesome set of perks, ranging from $1 a month, which gives you access to our Discord community, ranging to all the way up to $400 a month if you'd like to sponsor TNT. But there are a bunch of different price points in between those two extremes. We'd really appreciate it if you could check us out over there. But even if you can't support us on Patreon, you just support us here on YouTube. If you drop a like and a subscribe, hit that bell. Every little bit truly does matter as we continue this awesome Good Vibes gaming journey that we're on. So once again, everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you on Friday for episode 127 of Today's News Tonight. Until then, everybody, good night and good vibes. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.